Hi everyone and welcome to another Arma 3 editor tutorial. This one is a request from retrogamer who asks how to have a task to board a chopper. I've done tutorials similar to this, but not exactly the same, so let's get started. I've placed three playable units, three units. One of them playable and two of them are AI. My playable unit I've given the variable name of S1, so S for Sierra 1. This one is P1 and this one is P2. I've also placed a hummingbird and I've given this the variable name of H for Hotel 1, so H1. So we're going to now go to Systems, Intel and Create Task and place that. We're going to select a Set Task State and let's double left click the Create Task module. The owner we're going to set as all playable units. We're going to call the task Task 1. And we're going to set the title as Board the Chopper. And in the description, I'm just going to call it Get In. And the task state will be assigned. In the set task state, we're going to double left click that and select Succeeded. And we're going to sync the set task state and create task modules together. Now we need a trigger to fire that task. So I'm just going to grab the first trigger in F3, which doesn't have a size. Going to double left click that. And I'm going to set this as in the conditions section where it has the word this. I'm just going to change that to the word true, which means that that task will fire when the mission starts. In the timer values section, I'm just going to select 5, 5, and 5. And in the on activation section, I'm going to type in H1, which is the variable name of the chopper, engine on, true, semicolon. So when this task fires, because it's true, so it will fire when the mission starts. After 5 seconds, it will turn the chopper's engine on, which is important. You need to get that running. So I'm now going to right click on the trigger, select connect and sync to the task. So now we have that set up and the task is ready to go. But now we need a trigger to complete the task. So in triggers, I'm going to select the fourth one on the list, which is 10 by 10. And in this trigger, I'm going to double left click. I'm going to select this as type skip waypoint, and I'll explain why shortly, and activation any player present. And in the this section, I'm going to pop some code in there. So we've got S1 in area, this trigger, semicolon. And another line, P1, same thing, P2, same thing. And I'm going to again set a timer value of 5, 5, and 5. What this line of code here ensures is that this trigger will not fire until S1, P1, and P2 are inside the trigger. Okay, so the chopper won't move and the task won't complete until that condition is met. So now we've got that in there, we can right click the set task state, connect, sync to this trigger here. So now that when this trigger is fired, the set task state will activate, which will complete this task. Now we need some move waypoints. So I've got my playable unit here. I'm going to go to waypoints and select get in. And now this is important. When you're going to get them to get into a vehicle, you need to look for the little green crosshair circle where the arrows point inside the circle and click on that. All right, you can't put it onto the chopper anywhere else other than the tiny little marker underneath where you have the crew. You need to click on that. Okay, so I'm going to also open that trigger, and I'm going to untick scene visibility because I don't want the trigger, correction, the waypoint to be visible on the map to players. Okay, I don't want that. So now we've got the waypoint for these guys to get into the chopper. We're going to now give the chopper some waypoints. So again, we're going to click on the chopper and we're going to select the hold waypoint and put it just in front of the helicopter. Then we're going to remember we have a skip waypoint, any player present, with the variable conditions in here. We're going to right click, set waypoint activation to the hold waypoint. Okay, then we're going to select the hold waypoint and we're going to then select a move waypoint, and I'll place another move waypoint down here, and I'll change that one to a transport unload. Then I'll set another move waypoint off in the distance. So now that we have this set up, we have our task, we have our playable and AI units, we have a trigger that activates the task, we have a chopper with a variable name of H1, we have the trigger that completes the task and sets the waypoint, or activates the waypoint, I should say. And now I'm going to move this over to here so that when we are present in this trigger, it will complete the task and the chopper will then take off. And let me show you how that works. So after 5 seconds, the task will pop up. There we go. And the engine will start, because you remember we put H1 engine on true into the trigger. Now nothing's happening at this stage because we haven't boarded the chopper, or we haven't gone into that trigger. And what I'm going to do to show you that this works for the variable names having to be in that trigger, I'm going to get these two AI guys just to move there and not come with me to the chopper. So I'm going to move forward to the helicopter. I'm going to jump on. And after 5 seconds, the trigger should fire if all variables are present. But because they're not all present, nothing's happening. So now I'm going to get my AI to get in the chopper. And 5 seconds after they have entered that trigger, the chopper will now take off. And start flying its path. It will move forward, and I'll just speed up time. It will then land at the end of the runway where I've put the transport unload waypoint. It will kick me out. I'll tell my AI to get out. And this is a drama with the AI, is they won't get out on the waypoint. Now they will. Now the chopper will take off and fly away. Just to tidy this up slightly, we're going to move the create task module actually onto the area where the chopper is. And of course, you do not need to use AI troops. You could have these two guys as playable units, still with variable names. And again, this trigger won't fire until those variables are present. Additionally, what you could do is if you want to have this happen at a later stage, you can go into the trigger that fires the task, double left click, and set it as a radio trigger, so radio alpha, and the trigger now actually won't start. Oops, I'll just change that back to in the condition to this. And nothing will happen until you activate the radio trigger in game. And to activate the radio trigger, if you're not using ACE, you press 0, 0, and then 1, which is alpha, and then it will fire the task. If you are experiencing an issue where you order your AI troops onto the chopper, and once they board, the chopper then takes off and then comes back down and lands nearby again, and then will allow you to get on. If you're experiencing that issue, there's a simple way around it. Firstly, in the trigger condition, and I don't know why Arma does this, just put your playable unit as the unit in the trigger and don't worry about the AI. Or secondly, and this may assist, is you can put the H1 engine on true into this trigger rather than the trigger that actually fires the task. But the easiest way to get around it, and again, I don't know why it does it, because the hold waypoint to then take you further out should not fire until this trigger is set. So if you're experiencing that issue, set it to any player present. So if you set it to anybody or blue 4, then the AI will trigger it. So any player, which is a human player, and only put the variable name for the human player into this condition, and then the chopper won't go anywhere until your human player is on. And obviously, if these were playable units, you could add those variables as well, just to ensure that this doesn't take off, then fly a short distance, then land, then pick you up, and then fly away. It's quite bizarre. I don't know why it does it. If anyone knows a fix for that, I'd be happy to hear about it. Another way around this issue is if you change the trigger here to be any player present, make sure the word this is in the condition, and set the timer value up to 15 seconds to give sufficient time for everyone to board the chopper. So the AI coming in will not trigger the trigger, only the player present will trigger it, and then it will take off. I'll just increase the time. I'll order my AI in, so they won't trigger it at all, and the trigger won't actually start until 15 seconds after a player, being a playable unit, enters the trigger. And there you can see it takes off and works just fine. I don't know why Arma does that. There's several different codes that I've attempted to use to get the variables working without the AI triggering it to take off and then land again. And I haven't had much success. So I'm sure there's someone out there that knows the fix for it. And if you do, please let us all know how this works in this tutorial. But what I will do is I will save this as a mission file, as well as I will save the initial part of the tutorial as a mission file, and I will add both files as downloadable folders in the description below. So I encourage you to open up both the mission files in the editor and have a look at what it is that I've done in the first one as well as in the second one here. So I've got a task set up here for any player present for the guys to go into this trigger, which will give them a task to take out this guy. Once that guy has taken out, they will then get a task here to wait for exfil and board the chopper. The chopper will then fly back to this point here where the transport will unload, so we'll get out. The trigger here is for the engine of the chopper to be turned off and for the chopper crew to get out, and then I'm going to probably extend that to get them to walk over there. So both of these mission files, the initial part of the tutorial as well as this one, I'll include in the description below, and I'll quickly show you how this one actually works. So we walk into the trigger that fires the task. I've got a task to take out this dude.
Contact, officer.
So he's taken out. We'll then get a task to wait for exfil. There it is. I'll just speed this up a little. And I've put the marker here so that we don't all run down into the trigger where the chopper is going to actually land. I'll speed this up. Chopper will come in and land. I've placed an invisible helipad exactly where I want it to go. I'm going to order my AI into the chopper. Then I'm going to board the chopper myself. And the chopper won't take off again until all variables are present.
Ready.
Chopper now take off. I'll speed it up again. He's quite flying quite cautiously and slowly at the moment. The old AI, Arma 3 AI piloting. It's always interesting. Then this guy will land. I'll order my AI out.
Disembark. Roger.
They will get out. The chopper crew will get out. And the helicopter's engine will go off. And the chopper crew will go over to somewhere over there. And I should have set them to careless so they weren't looking for enemy as they were going back to the hangar. So that is how you achieve all of that, Retro Gamer. Thanks for the question, mate. I'll post both of the mission files into the description below for you to download. Thank everyone for watching. Thanks for your support. If you've got questions, post them in the comments section below. Come and see us in our Discord. You can ask questions there. The links are in the description. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.